Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm about to leave for work in a little bit. Something, I don't know why, but something that just popped into my mind today. This was probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. But yeah, I was always, as a child, even as an adult, uh, I was always kind of fascinated by movies, sports, movie stars, professional athletes. They were, always the most inspiring people, like my heroes. Regular people rarely inspire me. It's rare that I come across a regular person that really touches me in that way, that I see as a hero. It's really inspiring. There are a lot of stories out there, a lot of experiences. You could go on and on, from famous people to people who aren't family, even a family member that maybe has a story or has an experience that forever changed your life. I don't think I've had too many epiphanies, but I gotta say that this story I'm going to talk about briefly really touched me. I never felt so touched by a story from a regular person before. And this talk was actually at my wife's community college at the time. This woman, she's a Holocaust survivor. She was in a concentration camp with her brother and her parents. So the four of them, they were in a concentration camp for 6.5 years during the Holocaust, and she's written a number of books. She does talks all over the country. I believe she even has a Facebook page, may even have a separate website. I have to look more into that. I have a book. I'll show you the book here. It's called The Four Perfect Pebbles. It's her story in the Holocaust, and her name. It was written by another author and her, Lila Pearl, and her name is Marion Blumenthal Lazar, or Lazan, or Lazan. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. This is one of her books, which we bought at the talk that she did. And then my wife, as you got her autograph on the copy at the back, got to do like a meet and greet afterwards. It was, I think it went on for at least an hour. I don't remember if it was free or if we had to pay anything to see this, to get tickets for this talk, but it's definitely, if it was definitely worth it. I went with my wife and my parents, and she was talking about, I could go a whole lot into it. I'm sure, all of us have heard stories about the Holocaust. I mean, I remember 30 years ago reading and hearing about, I think even saw a movie about the diary of Anne Frank. I'm sure most of you are familiar with her, and those of you who aren't, she actually ended up passing. I think she ended up getting killed, dying in the concentration camp. I don't know if she was gassed or if she had another illness, but for years, I think her and her family were hiding out in a hotel, so that on the top floor, I think in an attic or something like that, so they wouldn't get captured. But I think eventually the owner of the hotel had to give in and give them up, and she ended up dying. This woman, Marion Blumenthal, Lausanne, she actually said that she did come across Anne Frank. They were in the same concentration camp, and this woman ended up surviving. Unfortunately, yeah, her whole family, they ended, I guess as the war was over, they all ended up getting out of the concentration camp, I guess unfortunately due to illness. Her father ended up passing away, and it was weird. Like, she was talking about going to I think it was once a week or every few days they were allowed to shower, but she said it was just a certain fear. And, like, she didn't know if, when she turned on, like, the shower faucet, she didn't know if water was going to come out of the faucet or gas was going to come out of there. And I just can't imagine. I'd be afraid to take a shower and to get, I think she said, like, she got like they got water and like one piece of bread for the whole day for her family, and they had to share it. And she said eventually, I think they only got like one piece of bread for the whole week. And I forget how old she was. I think she might have been a teenager when she, got rescued when she was out of the camp. But she did say that she was, I forget how old she was. I think she was a teenager, and she did weigh like 65 pounds. And then a few years later, her and her family were able to come to the United States. And She went into basically the four perfect pebbles. She said she could find, it didn't have really much to do, but she said she could find like four. It was basically representing her and her, her brother and her parents. And she said she could find like four pebbles that were exactly the same size. That would keep, that would give her courage and hope and faith that her family could stay whole. And it forever changed my life. It was so inspiring. You could kind of feel the very emotional. I was never really touched like that before emotionally, and you could kind of sense a lot of hundreds of other people, maybe a couple thousand people in the auditorium, were feeling the same emotions. And I basically held back. I mean, the whole time. I mean, my eyes were tearing up. I mean, just hearing these what she went through, and just hearing her positive attitude, I could have burst into tears, but I was basically holding back. And I remember I went to see her afterwards. My wife got her autograph and the book, the copy of the book. And I think my mom wanted to talk to her, and my mom, she was just speechless. And my mom burst into tears and just ended up hugging her. And I was pretty teary-eyed too, and I remember I wanted to talk to her more, but I think all I could really get out was, wow, that was such an amazing story that you had. And her message too, obviously this was hate towards the Jews by the Nazis, this whole Holocaust thing. And she shares her experience, but she also at the same time too, she wants to get the message across, because obviously there's still a lot of hate in this world going on, and in other countries, racism. And she basically wants to get the message across about how bad, how wrong it is to hate, and if you are to stop doing it, and not to treat, we may have had a bad experience with a certain sex, certain race, a certain religious or a certain religion, person from a certain religion. And they were trying to get the message across. They're isolated incidents, and she said over and over again, please, 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 don't treat a certain race or a certain group, or a certain sex, certain type of person. Don't treat a certain group of people a certain way just because of the actions or incidents of a few. And I used to do that. I used to kind of I remember as a child, I used to think that they had a lot of racist people in my family. I remember growing up, I didn't like anybody that really wasn't white, that wasn't like me, and it wasn't really, I was kind of brainwashed in a way by, certain relatives, to think that way. And once I got to be a teenager, and I had, a lot of friends growing up that were, girlfriends too. I dated a lot of girls from different races, different nationalities. And, once I got to, be mature, even as a 13, 14-year-old kid, I realized that, what my, family members, even my parents were feeding me was just bullshit. It was just bias, just racism. And I'm glad that I was able to overcome that, because I did have a lot of hate in my heart. I did have a lot of bias, a lot of, perceptions. I believed a lot of the bullshit out there that we still hear, unfortunately, to this day in 2019. So I'm glad that I don't think I really had too much help from anybody on overcoming that. I think I just unlearned a lot of that bullshit. I think I developed that love and got rid of that hate on my own, and it can be a hard thing to do. I did get counseling, but I don't ever remember bringing anything like that up in counseling. So I basically unlearned it. I overcame that all on my own, which I'm very proud of myself for that. I think it takes a really strong mindset, a strong person to do that. And I definitely I think she's written a number of other books. This is just one book here, for Perfect Pebbles, a Holocaust story. And I read, I'll have to read the book. This was 6 years ago. My wife got a copy. I think she read it, but I haven't gotten around to reading it yet. I definitely want to sometime, someday. It's not too long. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, it's like 130 pages, but the Yeah, you should be able to read it pretty fast. I mean, the text is pretty big. The text isn't small. I like reading, but I just, enjoy doing other things so much more. I really don't like sitting around and not burning calories. And even an interesting book, I have a hard time for some reason. I fall asleep a lot reading. It's not because I'm bored or anything like that. It gets reading just makes me sleepy, even if I'm sitting up. I find so often it's kind of funny, but I find so often I'm like reading a book and the book just drops. I'm like dozing off. So yeah, that's all I want to say on that. Yeah, I definitely would recommend checking out this woman's Facebook page. You could type in her name. Yeah, Google. I'm sure you'd be able to find her on Google. Google her name. And if you have a chance to, she does talks all over the United States. I definitely recommend buying her books. I definitely recommend. I don't know if she has any YouTube videos. Maybe. Definitely recommend seeing her talks in person, and you definitely will not be disappointed. It's very inspiring, very encouraging, and I mean, it changed my life forever, and I think it would definitely change your life. Um, yeah, no disappointments at all. So yeah, that's pretty much wraps up everything I wanted to say about her and her story, and yeah, let me know if you have any more questions about this woman, about her story, and how you can find her. And I definitely think that you will not be disappointed in any way. I think a lot of people would definitely benefit, especially racist people. I think a lot of people they have hate, that have problems, in their life. I think after hearing her story, reading her book, I tend to kind of dwell on my problems after hearing her story. I was like, wow, like I have a great. I thought my childhood was terrible. I'm like, wow, I actually nothing to complain about. I had a pretty. Even though I had my problems, overall, I had a pretty good life, pretty good upbringing. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. Thank you all for supporting me. I love you all. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you all real soon with another interesting topic. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Talk to you all real soon. Bye.